Welcome to Love or Money, because my darling, it has never been either or. It's always and. But difficulty attracting love or money is always a result of limiting beliefs that were implanted in the subconscious when you were very small. 100% of the time for all of my clients, which explains why there's a continual struggle with patterns of things like finding yourself in toxic relationships or in difficulty in attaining the wealth that you consciously desire. Because these beliefs are buried so much in what seems to be the fabric of our being, they wreak havoc. Here in your life as an adult, you have this vision. You may have a vision for this dream life, and yet love might elude, or wealth may elude. And for the sake of today's discussion, we are going to dial into what those conflicts are in our lives that we see over and over again, these patterns that show up that make it seem as if it's an either or even that love just isn't for us. And we're bringing these to the surface because you should know that you are far more powerful than you've been led to believe. And you can change at the level of thought, these limiting beliefs, and you can watch your entire life transform. Now, I'm Melanie McCool. I am the entrepreneur's hypnotherapist and peak performance coach. And I'm also a certified master trainer of hypnosis because it is my passion to help women to delete, eliminate, banish those limiting beliefs about themselves, their place in the world as it relates to love and money and happiness and joy and all the juicy things that life has to offer. Because I see the results in my clients when they do. Things like going from being completely stressed out, overwhelmed, not trusting themselves to make powerful decisions ever, and just miserable, heartbroken even, right? And not having any idea what the next right step is in their life to see that life that they envision come into reality. And moving from that to a place of utmost joy and success in every level of their life, not just money and not just love, but everywhere. And that's what I want for you. And so today, what we're going to do is a bit of work. You're okay with work, right? I've actually reclaimed the word work because the work is what sets you free. So if you're open to do some work with me today around love or money, please do drop me a comment and let me know. Because we're going to do just a bit of diving in because it's super important. What I know is that my clients are these incredibly resilient women, right? And we were taught to essentially stuff down everything that we feel, anything that would come up that would make us feel bad would be stuffed down, and perhaps even stuffed down with food or with drink or with, destructive behavior even, right? But stuffed down. And we are going to do a little uncovering today so that you can begin to see that those things that you've stuffed down, those limiting beliefs, are the very thing that are keeping you from the life that you envision. And so as we begin, I would love to know if your focus is here today on manifesting the love of your life, having real love that includes a loving, friendly, fun partner with romance and a healthy sexual relationship. Or if you have that and business and money is the thing that seems to elude. Which is it? Or is it both? Any way we look at it, it's okay. We can work with that. But I'll tell you, before we even get started, that you aren't broken Okay. That whatever is going not quite right in your world is a result of underlying programming. And that's why I'm a certified master trainer of hypnosis. We can kind of, get that to the surface and then ditch it, eliminate it, eradicate it from your life. And if it is in your world, there's no shame and no guilt, because that programming was laid down when you were very, very small, very likely, as we'll look at in a moment here. So you're not responsible for these areas of your life that seem broken, and you aren't broken. You're not responsible for what happened and for the programming that's been running the show, but you are responsible for making the changes now that you're adult. So after you see what I'm going to reveal for you today, if you would like your life to be different, then you got to do something different. Okay? And so before we look at these, before we do some of the work, right? Now, we can't do all of the work here today, as you can imagine, right? But we're going to give you enough insight that you can recognize where the changes get to be made. And how exciting is that? But what you should know is that you're not broken. I do think of it as kind of having a flat tire. Okay, so bear with me for a moment. If you've done a life assessment wheel, how many of you've worked with a wheel of life? And let me know, because my goodness, if you've been in business for any amount of time, then you've probably done a world of personal development. And it'll typically involve something like a success wheel, a wheel of life, that's what it's called. And if just follow with me if you're not familiar, because it's the kind of thing where you will rate the areas of your life from 1 to 10, and then they typically put them around a wheel, right? And then you can connect the dots on this wheel. And some of them are just really robust, awesome. You got this great big, you feel really good about it. So if there's areas of your life that you feel really good about, please just drop those in the comments here so I can hear you. Because what I want to tell you is that means that you've got some pretty darn good programming around it, or you did a whole lot of work to fix it. Okay, so for a lot of women, high achievers, that means that your business and your finance might be flying high, no problem. Nobody's going to tell you to get up in the morning and go to work. In fact, somebody should teach you where the off switch is. But then there's other areas of your life that are just not where you'd like them to be. And if you did that life wheel, then you got some flat tires in there, right? But I'll tell you that these are fixable. All that means to me as a hypnotist is that you've got some areas of subconscious programming that are not empowering you. That's all it is. And I'm going to share with you how you can make the changes that can, get those wheels all nice, big and round. You can roll on through life in ways that you didn't even know were possible. Man, you've been riding around on a flat tire your whole life. What's life going to be like when it's all good? Right? And if you know anyone, and not many of us actually do know these people personally, but some do, or if you've heard of anyone who has, is happy, healthy, wealthy, has a loving relationship with a great sex life and a wonderful, successful business, family life just booming, friendships, loved in the community. If you know anybody like that, it seems like they don't have any flats, right? That simply means that their subconscious programming is all in the line. And they might have gotten lucky in many of those areas in their life. Not many of us do. Or perhaps they did the work. They were intelligent enough to apply the information that's available to all of us to fix those flats. So let's get into what I'm talking about in terms of this programming. So understanding what's going on at the level of thought is directing your life. So quickly, if you have these thoughts that kind of run under the surface, things like, I can be a good partner, or I can make a lot of money. I can be a a good, loving parent, or I can have a successful business. I can have a healthy, relationship with my body, or my business can have the impact that I want it to have, right? I can make a lot of money. If you have this idea that it's either or, okay, first of all, that's a conflict, a conflict of interest, contract at the level of the subconscious mind. And your mind is always going to lead you towards pleasure and away from pain. And so if there's any conflict between that successful money outcome that you're looking for and your basic human needs of happiness and survival, well, it's always going to choose the piece of you that you don't want to give up. So if it's something like, I could be a good partner or I can make money, well, there you go. I could be a good parent or, well, my business is just going to suffer, right? I can either have health or I can have business. Well, unfortunately, a lot of people let their health suffer and they're going for the business. If it's an either or, that's running the show, first of all. And then there's also the understanding that there's negative thoughts that may be running underneath as well about love or about business. And for the sake of dialing this in today, we're going to be focusing on those limiting beliefs about love and about what we can have here on planet Earth. And we're going to look at some of the thoughts that you have that are running under the surface about love. And you can relate it to money. But knowing this, since your mind leads you towards pleasure and away from pain, if you've got these negative thoughts about you, yourself, and the world as it relates to love, or about men or women or whatever you're looking for with love, if you've got negative thoughts around any area in that, your mind is going to lead you away from pain towards pleasure. Okay? And so the way that you're thinking is going to create how you're feeling, which is going to lead you to action or inaction in pursuit of your conscious goal. Okay. And so your thoughts that are running the show, running the program, are essentially directing your life. And so you may be going, why can't I manifest this juicy dream life that I envision? And you're just like doing all of the things, right, to manifest that. Meanwhile, under here, there's this little yapper going, you can't have that. That's not for people like you. You may not even know that it's there consciously. But meanwhile, you're not getting the outcome because you're really not taking the action that it would take to have it, or you're directly self-sabotaging it. And I'm going to give just a couple of examples here today, because when I work with women around love, it's one of the most fun places for me to help them to make the changes that they can see in their outside world and in their partnership, and quickly, because it's not, well, yeah, I might as well spit that out, because manifesting something that is a desire of our heart is easier, right? It's easier to see that you can change at the level of thoughts and programs so that you can change your actions and attract what you want and have what you want if it's not related to survival, right? So money is a different type of, it's a different outcome. Not that we don't have our clients make more money with less work. We do it all the time. But it is an easier outcome for many women to recognize that they can bring love into their life, self-love and a partner, than it is for them to, create the 7 figures that they've been working towards, right? Not the least of which, because it doesn't require new strategies, skill sets, expertise, mastery to get your love life, buzzing, whereas it may take you more professional development in order to see that monetary outcome that you're looking for. So there's a time gap there. Okay. Am I making sense? Am I clear? If that makes sense to you, please drop that and go, makes perfect sense. Okay. But knowing that, yes, we absolutely do. You can look to our testimonials and see we help women make more money with less work all the time, and more joy, more peace, and without ever overworking. So the first step in helping a woman to see why love has been elusive is to look at that program. And I'm going to actually walk you through the very first part of the process that I work with women when we're working in love, when the matters of the heart. And it's something that's in my new Aligned with Love course, the first part of the first part. So let's rock this. So we started this conversation with the idea that there's an either or, right? That your mind may have these conflicts about you can have one thing or the other, right? And I'm telling you, it's an and proposition. You might not be able to see that just yet, because the beliefs that you have are essentially, they're a decision. So a belief is a decision, meaning if you have this thought and this belief, then you're making decisions in your life that actually give you that outcome. Okay. And so whether you're consciously aware of the belief is going to make all the difference on the decisions that you make in your day-to-day life. Because you create your reality based on your beliefs, I would ask that you just take a deep breath and just be open-minded here. Because you may have a whole lot of supporting evidence for the thoughts that you have. You might even want to argue this is true. Okay. But I'm here to tell you that your beliefs, your thoughts have created the reality. That belief that was a decision, it actually formulated your action or inaction. Therefore, you see that in your world. Your beliefs can either open your eyes to possibility or put blinders on you. And in my work, we get to take the blinders off. We take the blinders off when it comes to love, happiness, joy, health, and definitely with money. But you take the blinders off. So let's dive in, right? Knowing that your thoughts are decisions, and they're leading you either to have a really healthy relationship with love and romance and sex and all of the good things that are in there, or they're leading to negative beliefs about yourself, your place in the world, that can lead to you're not having it at all, or complete self-sabotage. So what I'd like for us to do here is for you to take a moment and just, continue with that. I'm going to settle in and have an open mind and take a few deep breaths in, because what I'm going to ask you to do is to begin to see the limiting beliefs that have been running the show. And if you look around your life today and you don't like what you see, then I promise you it's these thoughts that have created your reality, what you see all around you. And if you want to change what you see, if you want to manifest the love of your life, the business of your dreams, your health, all of that, then you've got to see things differently here, right? And as I stated, you are far more powerful than you've been led to believe, and we can change this at the level of thought, at the level of the subconscious, at the level of programming, even if it feels, and it is often, even if some of that is stored in the body, right? You may not have any idea why you feel a certain way consciously about love or things, but it's very much a subconscious belief. And we could do that. We do that with hypnotherapy and with self-hypnosis. We can change at the level of thought. And before we even go any further, I'll just state, you can't just overwrite bad programming. I equate that to, you remember those old mixtapes? And if you're not, I'm 48, so maybe you're not that old, but if you don't remember that, essentially it's a cassette tape, right? And we would record off the radio, and then you'd try to use it again to get your new favorite songs. Well, eventually you're trying to overwrite the old tape, the old program, and it just gets all garbled. It's all messy, and it doesn't work. So you can't just take the conscious course on how to manifest love. You can't just take the business courses that are gonna, teach you the strategy to apply to make money. Conscious work alone, trying to overwrite those programs, is futile. And that's why I teach self-hypnosis, because you've got to get under these, get them out of the way so that you can actually manifest what you want. Now, when I say get under them and get them out of the way, I'm going to restate. These are the types of things that you ignore. These are the types of things that you don't think are they're not relevant. You're quite aware that you got some pretty crappy programming, perhaps from your family, right? You weren't one of the lucky ones with all of the things in alignment, right? Something like that, right? You're not responsible for the programming you had as a child. You are responsible for changing it now. So we're going to look at it. We're going to look at some of it to the extent that we can here in the next couple of minutes. So what we're going to do is look at some of the limiting beliefs that you may have so that you can begin to think about how you would shift these. These are shifts. These are things that you would shift about yourself, whether it relates to worthiness, what it means to be a woman, what it means to desire, what romance looks like, what a healthy sex life looks like, what partnership looks like in terms of everything, including finances. Yeah. Oh, whoa. All of the things, right? Because you know that the two things that people don't talk about are money and sex, right? These are taboo subjects. And then you expect to get into a relationship and all that's just going to go hunky-dory. Neither of you are actually looking at the weird stuff that's under the hood. That's why people end up in, divorce therapy or anti-divorce therapy, we're going to call it couples therapy, mostly for money or sex. So might it be important that we get to this stuff? Heck yeah, that's my point. All right. So an understanding that what we're about to uncover are limiting your possibilities. It's limiting what's possible. They're limiting beliefs. They literally limit your life. You have no idea where you get to go when your car gets to go, right? We limit our possibilities in life with our limiting beliefs, right? But you can change the way you think about yourself, but not just by trying to overwrite that programming. We've got to debug the system. So let's look what some of those limits are. Are you open for this? I asked you if you want to do some work. Are you cool with that? Let me know. Drop me a comment. Is this resonating with you? We're going to get a little deep here in a minute. Not too deep, I promise. Not too deep here. Not going to do any of the work that we would do one-to-one. It's just not safe or possible. So here's where we're gonna have a little bit of uncovering, some detective work. And here's what I'm gonna say: whether you don't have a partner at all and you'd really love to have one, or even if your partnership is lacking somewhat, right? It's not the most satisfying experience. Maybe it's lacking in love, passion, joy, friendship, that a partnership, whatever, in any way, right? I'm going to ask you to work with this. What we're going to start with is to do a total brain dump of all the negative thoughts that are running through your head. Okay? All of the things that tell you why you don't have what you want. Okay? These are the thoughts that are running through your head that say why you don't have what you want. Because the first step is to change that awareness, right? To see what you aren't looking at. And remember, we were taught to stuff this stuff. And there's way too much coaching out there that just tells you, well, just think like this. Just use an affirmation and everything's going to be right. I am enough. Oh, wait, there's a little voice inside that tells you something quite different because of your experience as a child. Sweetheart, you haven't been doing it wrong. You just didn't get the right information, okay? Because if we continue to go through life just stuffing those thoughts, especially those thoughts about ourselves that are less than loving, right? They literally run our actions, and we get a life that is less than loving. And so often people mistake thoughts for truth and look for evidence of their validity. And we're going to end that right now. If you take anything from this, know that you are not your thoughts. These thoughts are just energy. These thoughts are decisions that you're making about your life. They've shaped your life. So if you want to change your life, change the level of thought to start, and then we'll work and change the action to have that juicy dream life you envision. All right, so let's rock this one. Let's get this process engaged. And remember, this is just the first part of my Aligned with Love course. Just so that you can begin to unearth the things that have been running the show, so that you can begin to change them with the processes I give. All right, so we're not going into hypnosis, okay? I'm just going to take you down a couple, cycles of the brain wave. We're going to slow down your brain waves just a little bit so that you can actually see what's underneath. And so as I'm talking to you now, you can begin to just take some long, slow, deep breaths down into your belly, filling your belly and letting it go slowly as I explain the process. Just breathing in totally, stretching your ribs, and letting that go slowly. And just keep doing that as I speak to you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say some words here for the next minute or so, a couple of minutes. And what you're going to allow is that your subconscious is going to answer these questions. And I want you to not go looking for the answers. Just allow whatever bubbles up to bubble up. Okay? Knowing that if we try to answer them, then we're going to use the conscious mind. Conscious mind's going to go to the library of what you should think as a successful adult, right? No, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the sneaky stuff. Okay, so not what you've learned in your courses about love and what it takes to be, to have an incredible relationship. Okay, but what you actually think. All right, so take another deep breath in and let that go slowly. We're going to begin and just let it rip, okay? Just let it run, just let it come through and begin to hear what your subconscious mind has to say. That love is. Romance is. Sex is. People in great relationships are. The reason I don't have a loving relationship is. The problem with sex is. The problem with being in a relationship is. If I fall in love, I won't be able to. If I focused on my love life, I'm afraid I'll lose. If I focused on my love life, I'm afraid I'd have to sacrifice. If I had a loving, healthy relationship, people will think I'm, and who are the people that you think will think anything about you as it relates to your love life? And you can consider what your thoughts were and recognizing that this isn't just a result of your experience as an adult with love. We can go back a little further because I'm going to ask you to breathe in and breathe out. Mom said or thought love was. Mom said or thought romance was. Mom said or thought sex was. Dad said or thought love was. Dad said or thought romance was. Dad said or thought sex was. So society taught me that love was. When I was small, the world taught me romance was. Society taught me that sex was. Okay. Now, there are a few more questions that I would work with my clients when we were working one-to-one, questions that were far more personalized to the experience, to the limiting thoughts that I heard in the conversation. But hopefully with that, you've been given a little insight, because what I'm going to say is this. Now that you have seen these thoughts, you can let them bubble to the surface. Know that they're running the show. And as I said, you may have this idea, or you may think that the thoughts are real, that they're you, it's sort of your personality, or they're unmutable. You may even have proof for them, because your thoughts are a decision and they shape your action or inaction, and therefore you get the proof in your life. Or if you had a certain thought about the way that men are in life, right? Then that's what you see. You don't see the other, or you think that something that's healthy and good isn't for you, right? There's like blinders on because of these thoughts, and there's many more that I see in my clients. Very, very often, it was the message that was given that a woman can either be successful in business, or she can be a good wife, a good mother. I'm just using the heterosexual model because that's what we're talking about as easy as, from here to there with this conversation that I'm not directing personally. Okay. But women so often will come to me because they feel like love eludes them, or they keep having these really crappy relationships. And it turns out that they believe that they can either be successful and they're getting a lot of self-satisfaction from being successful, or they can have love, or they have these warped ideas like, there's no good men in this town, or worse. I've heard so many times things like, I don't want a man who's just going to use me. He's not going to be a parasite. They don't use that word, but that's what they mean, because they're successful women and they don't want a parasite man. Okay. What you don't want is the prevailing thought. That's the thought. That don't want thought is giving you, and it's negative, isn't it? Remember, your mind leads you away from pain towards pleasure. So if you don't want parasite, then you're going to take no action to find something that's not a parasite. All you're thinking is parasite. There's no action being taken. Okay, that's a direct change that we can work at the level of subconscious and make the difference. And listen, these thoughts must be changed at the level of the subconscious mind. Just knowing them consciously doesn't make a darn difference. I'll bet that there are many of you who are watching this right now who say, yeah, I'm quite aware that the role models I had for love, success, health, money, sex were not ideal as a kid. I'm not one of those lucky ones, right? Quite aware. Just knowing it consciously isn't making a darn difference, isn't it? No, that's why I became a hypnotherapist, my friend, because I recognized that unless you get at the level of subconscious, under the surface, down deep, often releasing it from the body, there's all kinds of stuff there. There's no freedom. You're locked in chains. I'll also say, knowing it consciously can actually be really frustrating, because then you think there's something wrong with you, but there's nothing wrong with you. And it can be really fast. These changes that you're making to manifest the love of your life and the success of your life, to be programmed for prosperity, these changes that you're making, they can be really fast. It does not have to take years. You don't have to do a world of inner child work for years in order to manifest a great relationship and to bring in the money. It's not like that. It can be really fast. And so just knowing those things consciously can be frustrating. You might feel like you're broken. Nope. Let's fix it, right? So in the training number 1 of Align with Love, we take this to the next level, right? We go and we pull those limiting beliefs out by the root. Okay, let's just call it that. We delete the hard drive. We debug the hard drive, right? Before we program in. Okay, that part has to happen first. Remember, before we program in, first self-love. Nothing happens until that. That's first. First, we program in self-love, and then a delightful love life, which includes love, romance, whatever you find freaking delightful, including an incredibly healthy, robust sex life, right? And the key to this is you're learning how to work at the level of the subconscious mind. So you can be free, for example, to pursue a beautiful sex life, right? So we work here at the level of the subconscious mind. And people do ask me, how on earth does hypnosis work to manifest the life of your dreams, what you want in life? I mean, most people, they associate hypnosis, this kind of work, with like breaking bad habits or installing good ones, right? Things like stopping smoking, weight, phobias, that kind of stuff. Well, yeah, as a clinical hypnotherapist, we do that too. Quite easy. It's the easy button. But I'm here to tell you, this is also the easy button for having that wheel of life of yours robust and freaking, going further, farther, faster than you ever thought possible. Because what's going on around you is a result of your habits. Yeah, habits of thought. Yeah. And it doesn't have to take ages, because those circumstances that created those habits initially that have been running the show all these years, they're no longer remotely interesting or relevant, are they? No. You can fly. You can make a big change in your life. It doesn't have to take a long time. There's an easy button. So knowing that this is the easy button and that there's only one way to make these changes. And that is at the level of the subconscious mind. As a certified master trainer of hypnosis, these processes that I've developed over time working with my clients, and that I've actually worked with in my life in really powerful ways to change my experience of love, prosperity, in all ways. And essentially, they work to uninstall the negative self-sabotaging programming that's underneath, right? And then install the beliefs that lead you towards the life of your dreams. And I've packaged all of those processes up in my Aligned with Love course. And I would be thrilled to see you quickly and easily help yourself to manifest the love of your dreams. So what you'll get in my Aligned with Love courses are these 3 main processes that I use with my clients that help them to rewire their minds essentially for love, self-love, and a satisfaction in life that really doesn't come at any other level until this work is done. And so if you are tired of having those limiting beliefs run the show, if you are tired of looking around your life and seeing, well, everything that you don't want manifest, everything you don't want, those are the thoughts, those negative beliefs that are running the show, manifest, then you're going to want to take the Aligned with Love course. It's super simple. You can just comment align below this post and we'll be sure to get you on the first release list. And I'm going to give you a coupon for 10% off. Here we are in the month of love. And I want to give this to you at a discount so you can, well, give yourself a good reason to say yes to your yes. But to get that 10% off, you've got to comment. And so you can go ahead, you can just drop the word align in the comments here, and we'll make sure that you are tagged to get that coupon to get your 10% off. And I am so looking forward to these stories, to these success stories. I mean, I've got some to share with you now, but I mean, what is more juicy and delicious than helping women to come into their full expression of their loving selves and to have that resonate in their world in the way that they've always dreamed? I mean, what's better than that? Oh, that's right. That plus health, happiness, money, travel, joy, friends, fun, adventure, creativity, community, all of that. That's right. When you're programmed for prosperity, that's right. That might be better. But for now, you want Aligned with Love, drop the word align below this. And I look forward to seeing your story. Now, with that, I'll say have a beautiful rest of your day. You deserve it. I'll see you in the course. I did.